Well, hello and welcome everybody to our Google Educator Group meeting for March of 2023. Thank you so very much for joining us here today. Quick introduction. This is the GEG Ohio meeting where we take a look at everything new in Google from the last month. We share Googly tips and tricks and answer questions related to using Google tools in school. Hi, my name is Eric Kurtz. I am an educational technology specialist here at the Stark County Educational Service Center. I work for Spark, the Information Technology Center here. We serve about 35 school districts up here in Northeast Ohio. I do have some co-hosts that, depending upon their schedule, may be able to join me. I do not know if we will have any of them with us today, but I always want to give a shout out and big thanks to Stephanie Howell, John Mansell-Pladel, and Sarah Kiefer for their support, even if it is behind the scenes today. If they do join us, though, later on, it'll be a pleasure to have them here with us. As I mentioned, this is GEG Ohio, but hey, if you're not from Ohio, that's okay too. This meeting is really designed for anybody who has an interest in using Google tools in schools. So I'm seeing a lot of activity in the chat. Please do say hi. Let us know where you're from. I'm seeing folks checking in from New Jersey and Wisconsin and Texas and Mexico. And we do have two Ohios that I've seen now. That's fantastic. So again, we're so happy for everybody who can join us here today. Everything we're going to be taking a look at today can be found in this resource document that I have up here on the screen. I did drop a link to that in the chat. I will do that again in case anybody does not have a chance, hasn't had a chance to pull that up yet. You can always get to it at bit.ly/GEG Ohio. That will take you to the GEG Ohio website, and from there you can go to the monthly meetings section. And if you scroll on down on the monthly meetings section, you will see a spreadsheet with the links for each month. And so here's today's March 29th, and there's that agenda link that you can get to. So if you're watching this later on as a recording, you can always get to that document then as well. Now, this document is editable, so please feel free to add to this document as we go through here. There's a couple spots in here that I would probably point out for that. For example, there's a section on here called upcoming events. If you are aware of some conference or training or professional development event that we did not include on this list, please feel free to add that to that list. I'd say another good place to add things in would be in the show and tell section. There's a spot in there called community show and tell, and this is where you can just share helpful resources, neat things you've come across, maybe a cool new extension or a blog post you've done or some project you've been doing. Please feel free to share those in the community show and tell. And then the third place would be the Q&A section. If you have questions, please feel free to drop those into the question section there. And if you have answers to those questions, you can do that too. I will try to answer these myself, but my guess is there's a lot more expertise among everybody in the group that I bring by myself. So please feel free to also add answers in here to these questions. Fantastic. All right. Well, I think that hopefully gave everybody some time to get settled in and to get a chance to say hi. I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat over here on the side. If there's a question that I miss, please feel free to drop that back into the chat, and I'll do my best to address those as we go through this here today. Fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and get on in to our meeting. I'm going to go ahead and take myself off the screen. I don't think you need to see me this whole time. That'll make that a little bit easier to see. And I'll also take off our banner there so we can just focus on the content that we're looking at here today. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on into our meeting. We've already done the welcome and introductions. So I do want to draw your attention to the important links. As always, we do ask you to please sign in in for these meetings. It's a very simple Google form where you can just put in a couple of key pieces of information there. And then what I'll do is I will use that to generate a certificate of attendance. Sometime between now and the next meeting, I'll go in and run Autocrat and generate certificates of attendance for those who attended. And that way you will have that for your PD hours, which is always great to be able to have that. All right, excellent. Next up, group updates. Just always want to remind you to join our GEG Ohio Google group if you have not done so already. This is a group where you can connect in between the meetings. Looks like at the moment we are up to, let's see, how many do we have? Over 1,411 members. That's fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. So this is a great way to ask questions and share resources and connect with other people. Who share your same interest in educational technology. So if you haven't joined that group yet, I do encourage you to do that as well. Next up, we do have a section on upcoming events. Now, a lot of these are going to be a little bit more Ohio specific. So if you're not from Ohio, these may not apply as much to you, but a lot of these have virtual options. So you can still take advantage of a lot of this stuff, even though it may not be something that is right in your neck of the woods. So I'm not going to go through every one of these. I'm just going to mention a couple of key ones that I'm aware of. There are maybe some things in here that I don't know as much about, so I may skip over some of those, but I will mention, for example, coming up here in May, we have the ITIP Ohio Google Summit. I think this is the 13th year for this. Fantastic summit that is put on each year, either up at Kalahari or down in Columbus. This year, it's up at Kalahari at the convention center up there. There's a link here to the Google Summit website where you can get all the details on that. And then I am also speaking at that. So I have done a blog post recently where I shared the sessions that I'm going to be providing at the ITIP Ohio Google Summit. I will be doing a pre-conference session on YouTube, tips and tricks. And then on Tuesday, May 16th, I will be honored to do a keynote presentation called Poke a Stick at It, as well as sessions on Google Screencast, on excellent extensions for Chrome, on AI tools in education, and beyond the slideshow. So those are the sessions I'm going to be doing. There's so many more amazing sessions, though. If you do go to the ITIP Ohio website, I do believe they do have the session listing now available up here. If we give a click on that, we can get in and see, I believe they do have a listing of those. Let's pull this up. Yes, there we go. And so you can see all the amazing educators and the wonderful, wonderful sessions they're going to be providing. Gives you a really good idea of what is in store for you when you attend this conference. So definitely want to get that on everybody's radar as a fantastic conference to attend. And I hope to see you guys there. Excellent. All right. Next up, let's see. Oh, I do want to give a shout out for the High Impact Conference for Educators. We call that the HICE Conference. This is actually located in the building where I work. This is put on by the Stark County Educational Service Center. This is June 13th and 14th. It's a wonderful conference. It will be available this summer. It's going to be an in-person conference, and it will be local in the Canton, North Canton area there. The call for proposals is open, and for more information, there's a link there as well. Other than that, let's see. I will give a quick shout out to the Edu Protocol Summer Academy, not too far from here, over at Notre Dame University. This one I'm giving a shout out to because one of our co-hosts, one of our co-leaders, is actually presenting at this one, and that is Stephanie Howell. So Stephanie isn't able to be with us here today, but she is going to be presenting at that conference. She does a lot of awesome things with Edu Protocols, and so shout out to that conference. And then lastly, I know I mentioned this last month, but I'll mention it again real quick. The Spark Conference. This is the one that I run there at the Stark County Educational Service Center through the Spark portion of what we do there. And this is July 18th. It is going to be a in-person and virtual conference. So if you can't attend live, or if you can't attend in person, you can still attend virtually. And the sessions are going to be recorded as well, so you can watch them afterwards as well. It is a free conference. Our call for proposals and registration are open. I would definitely encourage you to head on over to the conference website where you can very easily register. Again, it's free registration, but it helps us know how many people think they'll attend in person and how many will be virtual. And then the call for proposals still open until the tail end of of April. I think April 23rd is our cutoff date. We're shooting for that on the proposals. Please do consider that. That's what makes the conference what it is the sessions that people provide. I would absolutely encourage people to consider presenting at this conference. Or if you know somebody that you think would be a great presenter, please connect them with this as well. All right. Well, there you go. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Hopefully, some of those are going to be some events you're going to be able to take advantage of. And I look forward to connecting with you guys at those. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's go ahead and we will keep on going down here. Our next main session that we're going to talk about is what's new in Google. So this is something that we do take a look at each month because Google is constantly rolling out new features. And this allows us to be able to keep you guys up to date on the new things that are coming out so that you don't get caught off guard, but also so that you can prepare your teachers for these and make the best use of them. All right. Now, we're not going to go through everything. There's quite a number of things since our last meeting at the tail end of February. Several new updates came out. And then throughout March, we've had quite a few updates as well. So what I've done is I've highlighted a couple of key ones that I thought would be great to talk about. But hey, let me know if there's something that I skip over that you're interested in. Please drop that in the chat and let me know or ask a question about it. And I'm happy to dive into any of the ones that I have not chosen to highlight as it is so far. All right, well, let's go ahead and get on into these. So starting off with some things from the end of February, there's just a couple that I wanted to mention. First of all was some new smart canvas features. And so there's two different blog posts here from Google, a little bit of overlap between these. Some of them, they mentioned some of the same things, but between both of them, it kind of covers all of these. So some new smart canvas features coming to Google Sheets and Google Docs. Let's take a look at some of these ideas. So in this first one here, they do mention a couple of Google Sheets items. So for example, they talk about place chips, how if you use the the @ key on your keyboard and you put that in and then you type in a location, it will now actually link out to an interactive map so that if you hover above that @ chip for the place location, you will get a pop-up Google map for that. And then, of course, you could click on that map to open it up in full. Google's adding more and more and more of these sort of things where you've got those smart chips that allow you to have much more interactive content in Docs as well as in Sheets there. Another one that they mentioned in here that I thought was worth mentioning is the stopwatch feature. And so now if you type in @ followed by stopwatch, or if you use the insert option in Smart Chips, you can add a stopwatch into your Google document. So if I came here, we could try that out. I could come over here and let's do insert Smart Chip and stopwatch. And there we go. It drops a stopwatch right in there. If I click on that stopwatch, it will go ahead and start counting down. And so at any point, of course, I could come back over and stop it or reset it. Now, like I said, you can also access that by doing the @ menu and typing in stopwatch, and you'll see stopwatch shows up right there in the Smart Chips. So you can do the same thing from the @ menu as well. Now, I'm curious what people might use this for. It could be something where you just need a timer on the screen to say, okay, guys, we're going to work, for so much time on a particular part of this project. And when that's over, we're going to switch to something else. Or I don't know, maybe it could be for individual students as they're working through a project to time themselves on how long it takes them to complete a certain task. And then maybe they're keeping track of that as well. But hey, I'm really curious to hear what people may do with the stopwatch feature that we now have available to us. All right, well, we'll go ahead and we'll take that out. And we'll keep on moving. Excellent. All right. So, a couple other things Smart Canvas related showed up in this other blog post right around the same time. So, we'll go ahead and jump into this one as well. So, for this one, quite a number of things are included in it, so we'll hit several of these. One of the first things that they mentioned is custom building blocks that are on their way. Now, this has not gotten here yet. This is something that is still rolling out. But what's nice about this is basically what it means is you could create your own, table or bulleted list or layout inside of Google Docs, and then you could select it and then you could save it as your own custom building block so that anytime in the future that you need to do that lesson plan or you want to create a lab report or you've got any sort of pre-structured document that you want to be able to use, it's like a template built right into Google Docs. You'll be able to pull that right up. So not there yet. I've been looking for it, but when it does come, we're basically going to be able to select some text and we'll be able to create a custom building block from the text. And then once we've done that, we'll be able to go up to insert building blocks and our custom made building blocks will be listed in there. So could really save a whole lot of time again for things like lesson plans or for lab reports or really anything that has some pre-made structure there. All right, let's keep on going. I see Melissa saying she loves that feature. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to checking that out as well. I did see another comment. Thanks, Melissa. She said she likes the idea of having stopwatches for students so they can track their fluency growth in a personal way. Good idea. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And we're getting a lot of other people saying as well, they cannot wait to try out some of these tools. So that is awesome. I'm there with you guys. Absolutely. Melissa asked, do you know when this is going to roll out? So yeah, some of these will get a little bit more detail in a blog post that we're going to look at just a little bit later on in here. And so I think many of them, it just said coming soon, but hang on to that. We'll circle back around because there's a more comprehensive blog post a little bit further down here that hits a lot of these items and does include some date information on those as well. All right, what else do we have in this particular blog post? We've got the option to add a calendar draft to Google Docs. Now, we've already got the email template option. We're now getting one for a calendar draft. If you didn't catch the email template one before, I'll show you what I mean by that. That's not new. That one's we've had for a little bit. If you're in a Google document and you click Insert, Building Block, and you choose Email Draft, it creates a draft of an email that you can then fill out exactly the way you want. And then if you click the Gmail button, then it actually creates a Gmail message from this draft. The idea is you could work on it ahead of time. You could share it with a group of people so you could all collaborate on the email draft and then hit the Gmail button to send it over. Well, this is the same idea, but it's going to be for calendar. Same thing. You'll be able to click Insert Calendar Draft, and it will create this blank draft for you, but then you will fill in all the information with start time, end time, locations, description, and after you're happy with all of it, then you can click on the calendar button to send it over and create the event. So again, the idea is working together with others to create one of these. Pretty neat. All right, let's keep going. Another one that they mentioned coming soon is variables inside of Docs. I know we've mentioned this one before, but I'm super excited about it. I'm really neat to see how we're going to be able to use this. The idea that we're going to be able to put placeholders inside of a document, and then anywhere those placeholders show up, we'll be able to fill in that value, and it will fill in all of those placeholders with the values we choose. So basically, you're creating a mail merge. You're going to have a document that has the placeholder. So it could be student name, it could be grade, it could be, different information like that. And then you're going to be able to fill in those variables and it will just go through and boop, fill in the document with the information. Well, the idea is you could do this over and over and over again, putting in different variables each time so that it creates a new document. Now, my understanding is the ultimate end goal of this is it's going to actually interface with Google Sheets. So you'll be able to point it at a Google Sheet that has all of the student names and all of the student grades and all of the student locker numbers or whatever it is, and it can go through and mail merge them all for you. So that I'm really looking forward to, because I use Autocrat all the time. I love Autocrat. It's an amazing mail merge tool, but I really would be interested to see what sort of built-in mail merge option could become available inside of Google Docs. So it sounds like we're getting a pretty basic version to start with, but I'm really excited to see where this goes. All right. Next up, emoji voting chips. So this is another one that is rolling out soon, the ability to add voting chips into Google Docs, and then the students can simply click on the different chips to cast their vote. So if you wanted a quick survey in class, or you had a formative assessment question, very, very quickly, students could just click on those emoji chips, and it would allow, or those voting chips, and it would allow them to vote for the things they're interested in, and you could go from there. So looking forward to that. And is there anything else I wanted to mention here? Let's see. Maybe. I think we hit most of these. These are kind of, oh, nope, do have one more here. So the simplified, updated user experience, they're calling it. So you've probably already noticed this. Google Docs and Google Drive have gotten a facelift. So when we're now inside of Google Docs, like my Google document over here, you'll see it looks a little different than it did a few weeks ago as far as the menus and the layout. So they've gone with a more rounded, sort of cleaned up interface. So anytime that happens, it's good to let people know so they're not caught off guard by those changes. The functionality has not changed, just the layout, just the look. They're trying to clean things up a little bit. And so that has already at least rolled out for me. When I'm looking at my Google document here, I see the new rounded formats and layouts for that. Where I think it's a little bit more confusing for me, or a little more challenging, was with Drive. So Drive also got an update. It got sort of a new layout as well, just some cleanup with some rounded things. The thing that's a little bit more different for me, though, is I notice when I click on a file now that it's selecting the file. So let me show you what I mean by that. So let's say I go into Drive, and I don't know, we'll find a folder of something here that I'm sure I've got some folder that just has some demo things sitting in it. So we'll see what's in this test folder. I have no idea, but just, yeah, a bunch of just sample test files. Well, notice if I come and I click on one of these files, it actually puts a little check in front of the file now so that it's selected automatically. And that's not a bad thing, except I lose my my navigation at the top while it's selected. I have to unselect it to see my navigation. So if I'm like, multiple, folders deep. So let's say I'm going here to my conferences folder, then I'm going into the Spark conferences folder, then I'm going into the 2023 folder, then I'm going into the registration folder. If I'm that deep in and I click on a file, sometimes I just want to jump up here and use the navigation to move back up. And now I'm finding myself having to click it a second time to unclick it, or click off of it to unselect it to allow me to get back to my navigation. I don't know, not a big deal, but I am finding, yep, that one extra click seems to be needed now if I'm going to access the breadcrumb trail across the top there. Having said that, no big deal. It does make it a little bit easier to select multiple items and then apply settings to multiple items, but just be aware, a little bit of a difference there as well. All right. Let's keep on going. I think that's it for that one. Okay, so that gets us through those two. So there's quite a number of changes coming to the Smart Canvas features for Sheets and Docs. I'm excited to see what you guys think about some of those. All right, let's keep on moving. That was all I picked from February. So let's go ahead and jump on into March, and we'll take a look at some of the updates that have come out this month so far. All right, let's see. First up, we got an update to Google Trends. So Google Trends has been around for a long time. I usually mention it during my hipster Google sessions. I like to share about Google Trends with people. I think it's a really useful site. It did get a facelift as well. Not necessarily new features, but just sort of a rearrangement of how the site looks. So if you haven't used Google Trends before, I'm going to take you to the site and give you a very quick tour. If you have used it before, just be prepared. Things are laid out a little differently than they used to be. So this article basically explains all the updates that they've applied, but let's go ahead and go to the Google Trends website itself. It's just trends.google.com. So if you head on over to Google Trends, quite a facelift to the site. Looks pretty different than it used to look. On the front page, you're going to get some highlighted trending items, and then below there, you'll get some resources to dive deeper into some topics, as well as some additional support on how to use Google Trends. Well, normally when I go to Google Trends, though, what I'm looking for is what's currently trending, and I'm looking for the option to type in my own search terms. Both of those used to be pretty much on the front page. They're not anymore. They're up here in these tabs. So if you look at the top, you'll see there's a tab called Trending Now. So that got moved. So that's where you're going to find that now. It's going to be up at the top there. And this is going to show you things that at the moment are currently trending in Google search. So that's really the idea of Google Trends. It's showing you what are people searching for? What are the things that are currently getting the most search activity? Now you can also come here and choose different countries if you want to see, okay, well, that's the United States, but what is currently trending in Canada? And so I could switch there. Might be a lot of similarities, but might be some things that are different as well. So this is great if you just want to talk about current events. You want to be chatting with your students about what is going on in current events right now. Easy way to be able to see what is trending. Having said that, though, what I really like is the Explore tool. And again, this got moved. It used to be you could type right on the home page. Now you have to go to the Explore section. And here's where you can type in your own search terms. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you how our interest in that term has changed over time, because Google Trends is tracking, how people how often people are searching for certain topics. So, for example, I could come in here and I could type in a search term like, let's say we do artificial intelligence. So let's say we're doing that and we search for the search term artificial intelligence. Now it's going to show you over the past 12 months how that interest has changed. Well, you can go back further. You can click here and say, I want to go all the way back to 2004. And if we do that, now we get a graph showing the interest in the phrase artificial intelligence from 2004 to the present. So clearly we've got our giant jump here in the last few months. So this is, there's October, here's November, December, January. So with ChatGPT and Bard and all the things that have been coming out, you see this definite surge here. Now, I'm not sure what happened back here. Looks like it was in January of 2018 and what was going on way back in February of 2004, but we've had a couple other spikes. And this is where the interesting stuff comes in. This is where we talk to our students about why, create a graph and say, so what was going on? What might account for this? Why suddenly do we have a spike here or a valley here? And it's about taking, content and looking at it in context, looking at it in historical context. Now, I love it that you can also add other categories here. So I could also throw in something like machine learning, because machine learning is another term often associated with artificial intelligence. But you'll notice over time, it's gone from being something less used to now being more used than artificial intelligence. We're starting to see machine learning as a more common term. And then if you throw in something like generative AI, which is something that we're now really talking about with things like Chat GPT and such, that kind of comes out of nowhere. That's down here. Like we really didn't use it until just recently. And now suddenly, generative AI is a phrase that we're really talking about now. So anyway, the point behind this is great way to talk about current events, but not just current events, looking at things over the last almost 20 years and talking about how these, what has changed, but more importantly, why. And you can also break it down by different states and by different countries all around the world to dive deeper into these topics. Neat stuff. Like it, like it, like it. All right, let's keep on going here. Let's see, what do we have next? Next up, speaking of AI, I guess this is a good segue. Google has put out a blog post about their plans for integrating AI into Google Workspace. So this is a really interesting blog post because it lays out a vision of what is to come with Google taking AI and integrating it more into Google Workspace. Now, Google's been doing AI for a long time. They're definitely a leader in AI research for many years. They have been developing amazing AI tools, from the simple fact that I can go into a Google document and I can click on, tools, and then I can click on voice typing and I can just talk. Now that I have clicked on the microphone, everything I say will automatically be typed into the document, that sort of thing, to be able to just, click on the microphone and talk into there. Now my mic is being used by the streaming thing right now, so it's probably not available there for the mic to use. But that's artificial intelligence. So Google's been doing this for a long time, but now we're into this new era of generative AI, where the AI isn't just going to, hear my voice and type it up or something like that, but it's going to generate new content. And so they lay out a bunch of really interesting things that are on the horizon here. They do have, I would totally encourage you to watch the video when you get some time. There's a great video here where they go through a lot of this in more detail. But just take a look at some of the things they're talking about coming, and as they say, throughout the year. So we're talking still this year, these things to start rolling out. So they mentioned the ability to draft, reply, and summarize and prioritize your Gmail. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the one that says prioritize, that gets me excited, because sure, it's going to be nice to have AI help me draft an email or reply to an email or something, but the prioritizing, oh my gosh, I get so many emails. If I can have AI look at my inbox and say, hey, Eric, these 3 are the most important. You really need to take a look at these. These need your response right away. Oh my gosh, that would be the best thing to ever happen, because I feel so many times like I'm drowning in emails, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to get to all these, but which ones are the most important? If the AI can find those for me, hey, I love that. Other things the AI is going to be able to do for us: brainstorm, proofread, write, and rewrite inside of Google Documents. Love it. How about this? Bring your creative vision to life with auto-generated images, audio, and video in slides. So in Google Slides, to be able to say, I just need a picture of this, I need audio of this, I need a video of this, and the AI just goes boop and just creates it for you. Phenomenal. In Google Sheets, taking raw data and then having the AI generate insights and analysis, creating formulas, categorizing the information. Love that. Google Meet, generating new backgrounds, capturing notes, and summarizing what happens in a meet, and then enabling workflows for getting things done in chat. So they've mentioned a bunch of them there. Then they do show a couple early drafts of this. Like, here is the idea of in Docs. They're typing in help me write, and they put in job post for a regional sales rep, and then bloop, the AI generates the job post, and then the person can go in and, of course, edit that. You can go in and you can fill in your own information, but the AI is generating that. So to be able to have that right inside of Docs, to be able to help us to generate things, but not just generate, but also to edit. So here's an example where they're showing taking text and using the AI to change it into different formats. And so I know that came up pretty quick there in that animated GIF, but it looked like the options included the ability to formalize, elaborate, shorten, bulletize, and there was something else in there. It went by too quick for me there. But saying, okay, I want to take this text and I want to make it more formal. I want to make it more casual. I want to, what else was it? Just write it as a draft. Okay, I want to shorten it. I want to elaborate on it. That's wonderful to have that, to be able to come alongside and say, okay, this is pretty wordy. Let's just clean it up. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, Eric, that sounds like great AI if you can apply it to your GEG Ohio videos. Maybe I could shorten up these videos and I could use AI to be able to talk a little faster. But nevertheless, I'm really looking forward to these as they roll out. Hopefully, it sounds like in the next few weeks, some of these are going to be starting to be available to what they're calling their trusted testers. That's always what they do first. They get into the hands of some folks to try it out, and then they start releasing it broader from that. All right, really neat stuff there. Excellent. And again, taking a look at the chat, seeing a lot of great comments there of people being excited about these features that are coming to the Google tools with AI. Good stuff. All right. Well, let's keep going on the topic of AI. Two more things that are specifically AI related. One of them was that Google did publish their generative AI prohibited use policy. And what I like about this is Google's not just creating AI and putting it out there and saying, have at it. They're saying, okay, we really need to put some guardrails on this. We need to think about what is the appropriate use of this? Is there anything that we need to be cautious of as the AI is becoming more and more available? And so this is a generative AI prohibited use policy where they're saying basically, okay, when you use an AI model that will create new content for you, it'll write that that blurb inside of Google Docs, or it will create that image for you in Google Slides. What can it and what can it not do? And so if you look down through this list, you'll see a lot of things Google is saying their AI is not going to do certain things. It will not be allowed to create things that deal with violence or crime or things that are illegal, or trying to generate spam or to misrepresent who you are and pretend that you're somebody else, making misleading claims on important issues, on and on down the line. So I'm glad to see that, and I just wanted to highlight that real quick, that this is certainly something they're putting a lot of thought into. Because that brings us to the next AI item, which is Google Bard is now rolling out. All right, so let's talk about Google Bard. So I'm sure everybody here knows all about ChatGPT. I'm not telling you anything new about that. We've had ChatGPT for several months now. Google Bard, the easiest way to say it is this is Google's response. This is Google's version of a ChatGPT type of a tool. This is their large language model AI chatbot, their AI chat tool. Now, Google has had this technology for years. They've just been a lot slower to roll it out, but ChatGPT kind of moved the timetable up for everybody. It's like, well, okay, the genie is out of the bottle now. I guess we all got to start moving on this. So this is not something new. Google's had this technology for quite a while. They just were being very slow at putting it into people's hands. Well, they're now putting it out there. So Google Bard has started to roll out, and you can sign up for it. If you go to bard.google.com, you can get on the wait list so that you can get in the queue to get approved to use it. Now, a couple of quick heads up. You're not going to be able to do that from a school account at the moment. So if I'm on this is my work account right now. If I go to Google Bard, it'll probably yell at me. And if I try to say I want to join the wait list, yep, there we go. It's going to say you're signed in with a Google Workspace account. They're not yet having this available for educational institutions. So if it's a Google Workspace account. Now, I know eventually, yes, that's going to happen, but they just have a lot they want to iron out. And that's what the whole testing is about. Before we put this in the hands of schools, we want to make sure we get it thoroughly tested. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go here with like a Gmail account, like a personal Google account, not a school account, which I did. And so I'll pull this over onto the screen from my other screen. This is my personal Gmail account, and I do have access to Bard now. I signed up the very first day. Very first day it got announced, I went right away and I signed up for it. Um, and it took like a day or two to get the approval, but I did get the option now to use Google Bard. So let me give you a quick overview of what you're going to find with Google Bard. If you use ChatGPT, this is going to be very familiar. It's the same idea. Basically, we can use natural language questions to talk to Google Bard, and then Google Bard will answer us and generate content for us and so forth. So let's keep it very basic here to start with. Let's say I want to come in and just ask it a question like, can you explain photosynthesis? So maybe I'm a student, I just want to understand photosynthesis. So I could ask it a question like that. And basically, Google Bard is going to generate a response to that. And so, I will not read through this whole thing right now, but you can see it is talking about how it's using light energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and sugar. It's the basis of life on Earth. Then it goes into a lot more detail about, okay, how that actually works. It's talking about, all these different molecules and everything that's actually going on inside of that. Now, so far, pretty good. That's great. Some of the things that are different. Notice here in the top right, there is a button that says View Other Drafts. By default, Bard makes more than one version of a reply. Now, sometimes I've seen 3 drafts. In this case, I'm just getting 2 drafts here. But other times, I've seen 3 drafts show up there. And so what's nice is you can compare very quickly different versions of this to see if you prefer one version rather than another one. So that's nice to have that as an option there. Then below there, you'll see the thumbs up and the thumbs down button. I would encourage you to use these because this is still in training, let's say. This is a very early release version of this. And so it's important that we let Google know, hey, that was a pretty good response, or no, nope, that actually, nope, that that's not a good response. And I've done that. I've hit the thumbs down on a bunch of these that I've done, and then you type up an explanation as to why. And so it is very possible that they even say that down below. Bard may display inaccurate or offensive information that doesn't represent Google's views. So it is possible you're going to get some stuff that is not correct here, and you can give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Plus, there's a Google It button here that will also allow you to run out to do a Google search on the same topic as well, if you want to compare what Bard said to a traditional Google search there. Now, of course, I can continue this conversation. I can come here and I can say something like, can you put that in simple terms that a second grader could understand? And so now, rather than this rather complicated, listing of exactly what's going on, now we're getting a much smaller blurb here, about plants use sunlight to make food. They take in water and carbon dioxide from the air. They use energy from the sun to turn that into sugar and oxygen. The sugar is used by the plant to grow, and the oxygen is released in the air for us to breathe. And then we could view other drafts. And again, here's a draft number 2 and a draft number 3 version of that. So you can see if there's one you prefer better than another there. And we could continue this conversation as we go here, asking more and more questions as we go there. So that's the general use of it. If you decide that you want to start over with a fresh conversation, you'll see a reset chat button up in the top left-hand corner. So this is a little different than ChatGPT. So like if I pull up ChatGPT, you'll see in ChatGPT, I have a list of all of the chats that I've had down the side here. And I can do a new chat, but I can access all of my old ones. It's a little different here. You've got what's called Bard activity. Not quite the same. What it does is it shows you a list of all of the chats you've had, but it does not preserve the responses. It just shows you, I had this conversation. This is what I asked. And it doesn't actually keep the full conversation. So that I think is unfortunate at the moment. I hope that's not going to stay the case, because I really like how in ChatGPT, I can just jump right back into one and I can pick up where I left off and I can continue a conversation that I had. At the moment, you cannot do that yet in Bard. You're going to have to start, a new conversation. It's not going to have memory of this old chat that you had a couple of weeks ago. So that I think, is probably still to come, but just be aware of that. All right. Other things that are a little bit different. I did see somebody had a question. I think I saw it pop up over there. They were asking about the limitation. So thank you, is there a data limitation in Bard? Chat GPT data is limited to 2021. So no, Bard on the positive side does not have any limitation on data. It is live, connected to the internet. So it can pull information right now, live from the internet. It's not something that is just pulling from the 2021 database and before. So that's great. I think that's definitely a positive of it. My biggest takeaway right now is if I were to compare it to ChatGPT, this is a very early, very simple version. So ChatGPT, compared to this version of Bard, ChatGPT is much more developed, and the answers I get, I am much more impressed with. That is not to say that Bard isn't good. What I'm saying is this early, limited version we have gotten is pretty basic right now. Google mentioned in their blog posts about this that this version of Bard is intentionally a smaller version. This one does not have as much content in it. It doesn't have as much information in it, because they're just testing it. And they wanted something that they could put out there quickly, that people could test, that would respond very quickly. In the conversations I've had with folks at Google, my understanding is this is just like the little baby Bard, that there's, several other versions of Bard that are exponentially larger than this one, and they will be rolling those out over time. My understanding is the most advanced version right now is easily on the level of ChatGPT or above. But this is just, be aware, this is just the beginning, and it's not a fair representation of eventually what all is going to roll out with this. And I say that because I've hit that thumbs down button, guys. I have. There have been responses I've gotten that they just weren't very good responses, or it pulled information that just really wasn't accurate, or I just didn't feel was a very thorough answer. So there are times that I have not been happy with the response, and other times where it's a pretty good one. So just be aware, this is the early stages of it. All right, let's take a moment to pause there, because I am curious if anybody has any specific questions that I can answer about Bard. If you haven't had a chance to try it out yourself yet, I am happy to chat about my experience with it. And we can even try out some stuff if you want. If there's a prompt you'd like me to demonstrate here and try out and see how it responds, I'm certainly happy to do that while we still have it pulled up. So I'm taking a quick look through the chat, seeing a lot of great comments in there, but just checking to see if there's any specific questions yet. So apologize for my delay here. I'm just looking down through the chat. All right, looks good. All right. I don't see anything at the moment there that looks like a question that has not been responded to yet. So, and if I miss one, please let me know. Here's one. Have you tried on references for research? And I'm not sure if you may need to give me a little bit more detail as to what you mean by that question. Do you mean having it give citation of where it's pulling the information from? That would be so I have not seen that yet. I know it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to every now and then include a link as to where it is referencing the material. I have not seen that as much. Where I have seen that, actually, I know this is going to Yeah, I don't know if if this is sacrilegious to do, but I'm going to open up Microsoft Edge. Don't tell anybody in the in the GEG meeting I'm opening up Microsoft Edge. Hey, no, Microsoft Edge is pretty awesome. Uh, in Microsoft, yeah, if I come here and if I were to search, and let me see, where's my chat in here? Let me just go to Bing. Let me go to Bing. Bing, 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 Bing. I see a little bit more there. So, like, if I come here and I said something like, "Can you explain photosynthesis?" Oh, I missed the "and." Sorry about that. Can you explain photosynthesis? And let's say I pull this up. Hey, give me where's my Bing chat? Hang on a second here. Bing chat, where are you? I'm signed in as me. Normally, it does a good job of pulling up the Bing chat. Hang on a second there. That's odd. I wonder why it didn't do it. They may have moved some things around on here. Hold on a second. Um, yeah. There we go. Let's get into. There we go. Here we go. Let's get into my chat over here. Let's see if it will let me get into that. There we go. Now I'm into the Bing. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. Can you explain photosynthesis? And so Microsoft has taken a version of ChatGPT, and they have integrated it into their Bing search. So if I go to Bing.com here on the Microsoft Edge browser, you'll notice I'm getting an answer to the question, "Can you explain photosynthesis?" But do notice what they've done. They have included references. So like there's a one here saying this is coming from Britannica. There's a two here saying they pulled that from Wikipedia, and then they're referencing additional. If I want more, I can go to National Geographic as well. That some of this information has been pulled from that. So I have seen a better representation of citations when using the Bing AI chat. So I'm hoping that that will be something that shows up more and more and more in these different AI tools there. All right. Somebody said, "Don't worry, we'll keep your secret that we're running Bing in the middle of a GEG Ohio meeting." But no, hey, listen, I think it's great. I like the phrase a rising tide lifts all ships. And what that means is basically, developments from anybody help everybody get better. So as Microsoft continues to develop, Bing and make it a more powerful search engine and integrate it more with Chat GPT, then that helps encourage Google to move forward. And as Google develops things, that encourages Adobe to move forward, and that encourages Canva to move forward. And then Canva encourages, other people to move forward. And that's great. I think that's fantastic. Although obviously I love Google tools, I am absolutely just impressed by what Microsoft has done and their commitment to education as well, and the work that they're doing in AI. So it's all good. It's all good, and it all moves us forward on this. All right, let's see. Some questions have started to pop up. Melissa said, "Have you found that Bard has some of the cultural insensitivities that ChatGPT has been trying to resolve?" So, I guess quick answer, Melissa, no, I have not seen any issues with that. That does not mean they're not there. I have not seen any issues with that, but it could also be the prompts I'm putting in. I may not have been putting in something that would give the opportunity for something that would show up as more culturally insensitive. So no, I have not come across anything that I found to be questionable on that end of the spectrum there. Yeah. And Melissa said, "Edge is awesome." I'll agree with you, Melissa. Edge really is. I love the built-in, the immersive reader tools that are built into it. That's fantastic. Really good stuff there. Really good stuff. Ryan saying Edge is basically Chrome anyway. Well, sure. So Edge does have Chrome, uh, Chromium as the base under which it's built. But like I said, if you go into Edge and you pull up a website like Dogo News, you pull up an article that you want to read, we can come up here and we can click on, oh, I'm going to forget where it's at now. Where's my here's the read aloud. No, there it is. Immersive reader. Sorry. Up here in the top right, I can click like the immersive reader button, and I can pop right into immersive reader mode on this, which cleans up the page. And then I can do like my text preferences and my grammar tools. I can have it color code and label the different parts of speech. That's fantastic. I absolutely love that. And you can turn on like the picture dictionary so that if you click on things, you'll get the pictures. This is just amazing. I mean, I absolutely love the fact that that's built right into Microsoft Edge. That's the sort of thing that I mean by competition can make things better. Google, we'll see shortly, is starting to respond to this. Later on, there's an update we'll look at to show something called reader mode that Google is now starting to roll out in Chrome. Well, good. They need to, because this is just for education. This immersive reader built right in. Now, yes, there is an immersive reader extension for Chrome. I can do that in Chrome. There is an immersive reader extension, so I can come here to my extensions. Whoops, sorry about that. Go to my extensions, and I can turn on immersive reader in Chrome. So I know we're kind of jumping all over here, guys. Sorry about that. I just have to find it. There it is, immersive reader. So I can turn on immersive reader. It's an extension, and then I could go to Dogo News in Chrome, and I could pull up the same thing, and then I could select the text here, and I could say, help me read this, and it will pull it up into immersive reader here. Oops, sorry about that. I think I selected all my text. Sorry about that. There we go. Hold on a second. Let me try that again. See, it's not as easy in here, is it? I can say, help me read this. There we go. And then there's the immersive reader view of that text. But it's not as clean and easy to use as it is just right there in Microsoft Edge. So, yeah. All right. Good stuff. Let's see. Anything else popping up here that we can answer, because we've got quite a bit more to look at. So I don't want to, I know we've dived into this quite a bit here. So let me take a quick look. Melissa said she started cheating on Google when she found the math solver. Yeah, there you go. Excellent. All right, good stuff. Checking to see if there's anything else in there. Oh, yeah, Barbara mentions the immersive reader having the translation feature too. Yes, I did not even show that, but yes, absolutely. If you've got immersive reader mode pulled up and you go to reading preferences, you can turn on the translation feature as well. So I could say, let's translate this into Spanish, and I could translate the entire document into Spanish, or I could just have it be a word at a time. So if the student comes across a word they're not sure of, they can double click on that word. Click on that word. Hey, come on, click on the word. Oh, yeah, I don't know why it's not doing it now. Usually it does the individual word one at a time. I'm doing something wrong, I am sure there. But yes, normally if you just have it, have the translation turned on, it will do it word by word. And my guess is I am doing something wrong with that, but that's okay. At the very least, you can say translate the whole page, which is very nice there. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's move on. I know there's still some questions in there, but I want to make sure we give proper time to all the stuff that we want to look at here. So I'm going to temporarily, we'll put a pin in Bard, and we will come back around to that if we have a little bit more time later on as well. All right. And I did see somebody had a question about assistive technology tools. I will try my best to come back around to that question as well. All right. Good stuff. So let's get to the last update, the last thing we're going to mention here, and the updates, and then we'll move on into some of our other areas here. So the final thing was just yesterday, Google rolled out some announcements for about 15 updates that are coming out. So what's going on is that Google is currently at the BETT conference. This is one of the, I think maybe the largest educational technology conference in the world. I would say compared to ISTE, I'm not sure. I've been to ISTE. I've never been to BETT. BETT is in London. I would love to go to BETT. I would love to go there, but I have never had the opportunity yet to go to London for that. But it's at least as big big as ISTE, if not bigger or close to ISTE's size. So it's a very, very large educational technology conference. Well, Google's there as well as everybody else. And they used this opportunity to mention a bunch of updates that are rolling out. Now, there are 4 articles that Google put out about those. I tried to pull them all together into one place. So I'm not going to actually open up their articles here. Please feel free to do so. They're fantastic. But rather than jumping through all 4 of them, I went ahead and took all of it and just put it in one place. So there's a link here, which is Eric's overview of the BETT updates. And so I'm just going to run down through this list and talk about the things that they announced. Now, with this, what I've done is I have included launch timing. So there was a question earlier. Do we know when things are coming out? Now, I don't have actual dates, but I tried to include if they gave any indication if it's coming soon, or if it's a certain version of Chrome that's going to do it, or if it's something that's rolling out right now. I've tried to include that. And I also included the availability by edition, meaning do you have to have the paid version of Google Tools? Is this a teaching and learning thing? Is this Education Plus? Is it for everybody? And so I tried to include that under each one of these so that you have all that information in one place. All right, so let's go ahead and run down this list. I would love to hear from you guys which of these updates are you most excited about. As I go through, I'll probably it'll be pretty obvious which ones I am most excited about, but I'd love to hear from you as to which ones you're most looking forward to here. So the first update is interactive questions in YouTube. So this one's really neat. Basically, if you're used to a tool like Edpuzzle, think that. This is similar to something like Edpuzzle. So the idea is this is a Google Classroom feature. So in Google Classroom, you're going to be able to create a new type of activity, which will be a YouTube interactive question activity. And what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to go through the video and you'll be able to drop questions into the video at different spots in the video. And then you can push that out through Google Classroom. The students will then watch the video, and it will stop at those different spots, and it will pop up the question that you asked, and they will answer the question, whether it's open-ended or multiple choice. And that's it. And then they'll go through that, answering those questions, and you will get a summary at the end, the teacher, of all the students' progress as they answered those questions. So a lot of similarities to a tool like Edpuzzle. Until we get a chance to actually try it out, I can't compare it completely, but it seems like it's similar in nature to what a tool like Edpuzzle does. Now, I think Edpuzzle probably does more than this, but again, until I get a chance to try it out, I'm not totally sure. At the moment, it is coming soon, but you can say you'd like to join the beta. So there's a Google form that you can fill out, and I've linked that in here. I filled that out the first thing as well, as soon as it was available. So I'm looking forward to getting approved to try out the beta for this. So definitely fill out that form if you haven't yet. Other updates, practice sets. Now, practice sets was announced about a year ago, so this is not a new thing. What's new is that they are finally going to bring it out of beta. So it's been in beta this whole time. Like, to be able to use it, you had to be in the beta program for it, which I am. I've been able to use practice sets and try it out. It is coming out of the beta, and they said soon. I can't say exactly what soon is, but they're saying very, very soon, like in the coming weeks, it is coming out of beta so that everybody who has the teaching and learning upgrade can use this in Google Classroom. The one little update they made to it is now teachers can share their practice sets with others. In the past, you could create them, but there was no way to share them. Now, if you create a practice set, you can share it with others in your district. Next up, Google Classroom is getting grading periods. So you'll be able to go into Classroom and specify grading periods, start and end dates. And then when you generate assignments, it will automatically categorize them within those grading periods. And that will also allow you to be able to see, grades as they are organized by grading period as well, and be easier for students to keep things organized as well. I'm curious to see what this will look like when you go into like your classwork page. Will it realize, we are currently in, spring grading period. So will it just hide all the stuff from the other grading periods unless you want to expand them. That'd be really cool. That'd be nice to just keep it cleaner. I'm really curious to see what that's going to look like. Next up, we've hit some of these. So some of these are things we've seen earlier today. They just put into this blog post here as well. We've already talked about custom building blocks, so we do not need to go through that again. Now we talked about the we talked about the stopwatch chip. They're also adding what they're calling a timer chip. And the difference is the stopwatch is the one we saw that counts up from 0. The timer counts down from a set time. So they're adding the timer one. So if you said we have 10 minutes, you can do it as a timer. It'll count down from 10 minutes versus a stopwatch that would count up from 0. Voting chips, we did see that already, so we don't need to go through that again, but they mentioned about voting chips coming soon. Then we've got some updates for Google Meet. One is if you're presenting a slideshow inside of Google Meet, you will be able to see your speaker notes now. Nobody else will, but you'll be able to see them. So if you're running a slideshow, if you have speaker notes, they'll show up over here on the side for you, but nobody else will be able to see those. That'd be really helpful to make it easier to follow along in your as you're giving your presentation. Another nice thing is if you're in a Google Meet and you're presenting a slideshow, you can give somebody co-presenter rights for your slideshow. What that means is they're able to move the slideshow forward as well. So they can play videos, they can advance slides, so that as you're talking, you don't have to keep thinking about, am I on the right slide? Somebody else can click forward and move that if you're not able to do so. Other things. Google Meet is getting AI-powered hand raising. Not a big thing, but it's kind of cool. Basically, if you hold your hand up to the camera, the AI will see your hand and will automatically raise your digital hand inside of Google Meet. That's neat. Another thing, we've had closed captions for a long time in Meet, but now those are going to be included in the recordings. You can choose to include them in the recording. So if you record a Google Meet, the closed captioning can be included right there in the recording. So as people watch the recording, they'll see it just built in, and they're expanding the languages that will be available in as well. Custom backgrounds in Meet, you've been able to add your own for a while, but now administrators will be able to do this as well. So an administrator will be able to come in and say, hey, here's a custom background that has our school colors in it or has our school logo in it. And then that could be pushed out to everybody. So anybody who jumps into Google Meet could always grab the background for your school, your department, your subject area, whatever the case might be. Other updates, some Chromebook updates. So Screencast has been around for quite a while now, too. I think it was sometime last summer. I remember that rolling out. So Screencast has gotten a big update that I think absolutely makes just a massive difference. So I'm a big fan of Screencast. I think it's great. It allows you to record your screen. You can record your webcam. You can record your voice. You can annotate on the screen. You can make a transcript. You can translate the transcript. You can edit the recording. It's a fantastic screen recording tool. Great way to make educational videos. Great way for students to record themselves. It had one significant drawback, which was to watch it, you had to be on a Chromebook. So you would record the screencast on a Chromebook, but you also had to be on a Chromebook to watch it. Well, the thing is, that's not always the case. You may want to send the screencast to parents to watch. Well, they're not going to be on a Chromebook probably. Or what if the student goes home and they don't have a Chromebook at home? Now they can't watch the screencast. Or let's say a student makes the screencast and sends it to you, but you're on a Mac or a PC. Well, Google is now rolling out a web player for screencasts, which means anybody can watch them. It'll just play right in the web browser. You can be on a Mac, a PC, a tablet, a phone. It doesn't matter what you're on. If you can get to the website, this will play on, any web-enabled device. So that's going to open up so many possibilities. I see people using Screencast so much more, knowing that, whatever I record, anybody can watch it now, not just people on Chromebooks. So very important update that needed to happen. And that's coming out pretty quick, version 112 of Chrome. I think we're on 111 right now. I think 112 is the next one. So this should be coming out very, very quickly. Let's see. Reading mode. Hey, I told you we were going to talk about this. So remember, we were just talking about how Microsoft has immersive reader. Well, Google is now building in reading mode to Chrome. So this is coming out in Chrome version 114. And what reading mode is going to do is give you a panel that pops up on the side that takes the article that you're reading and creates a simpler to read version of it. It's the same text. It's not changing the text, but it's just pulling the text out without the pictures and the videos and the comments and all those other things. And it allows you to make adjustments to it. Now, this is one I can actually show you because even though it's not rolling out till 114, you can turn this on manually right now if you want to. You have to go into your Chrome flags. So if you're not a person who likes to change the settings in the background of Chrome, don't worry about this, but I did go ahead and do that. So let's say I want to pull up an article here. We'll just pull up like Dogo News. Why not? We've been on Dogo News all day. So if I go into Dogo News, I can now come up here to my side panel button, this little button over here on the far right that gives you things like your reading list. I now have a read anything button here that if I click on, opens up the reading mode here. And so now I'm getting just the text of the article pulled out over here. I can change the font. I can change the font size. I can change the coloring if I prefer a dark background with light text, or whatever color works best for me. I can increase the space between the lines. I can increase the space between the letters or the words. And so all of this can be adjusted here so that while I'm reading the regular article, I can have a simplified version of it over here that is more cleaned up. So that may not be what it looks like completely when it rolls out in version 114, but this is the version that it is right now. And again, if you're not sure how I turned that on, I won't go into all the gory details right now, but basically you have to go into your Chrome flags. So if you go to Chrome://flags, that takes you into your settings in the background of Chrome. There's a read anything option, and I turned that on. You just have to turn on the read anything option, and then it'll reboot Chrome for you. And when Chrome reboots, you'll now have the read anything option up here in the side panel there. Having said that, this is something that is coming out normally in version 114. So if you just want to wait a little bit, it's going to be coming out in version 114 as well. All right. Just a few more things in this long list, and then let me take a look at all the chat that we're getting here today. So Cast Moderator, this is a fantastic tool that allows you and your students to easily display your screen up onto a projector or a large screen TV in the classroom. They've added a couple new things to it. One is that if you're presenting, you can now pause the screen. It'll basically freeze what it's showing, and then you can go do something else. Like if you needed to bring up something, queue up something that you wanted to show next, or work on something else, it can pause the screen without showing what you're actually doing while the screen is paused. And it also now it makes it easier to switch between tabs. It used to be if you wanted to jump from one tab to another, you had to disconnect and reconnect. Now you'll be able to just jump from tab to tab, and it will change what is being streamed from there. So a couple of helpful updates to Cast Moderator. And then lastly, there's some admin tools. I will not go into those. But for those that are more interested on the management end, behind the scenes managing of Chromebooks, quite a number of policy and security updates are rolling out as well. So I am curious what you're most excited about. For me, it was the interactive questions in YouTube. I think that's going to be a really neat opportunity to have students be able to watch a video and answer questions all throughout it. I'm excited about the web player for screencast. I think that just absolutely makes that tool so much more valuable. And then the reading mode in Chrome, it's pretty basic right now, but anything that we can do to support our students as they read, I think that is a move in the right direction. So those were some of the ones that I was most excited about from that. All right. So I'm going to pause for a second. I think we've seen a lot of activity in the chat, and I want to make sure that I answer any questions or respond to anything that was popping up in there. So let's see if there's anything else in there we need to take a look at here. Apologies. Sorry about that. Just need to kind of look down through the list here. Dan says, I think grading periods is such a great addition. So many teachers use the same Google Class all year. Yeah, I'm really hoping that does help with that, Dan, that it makes it easier to be able to just look at one grading period at a time. Yeah, good stuff. Peggy, hey, Peggy, how you doing? She says, love that they're creating a web player for screencast videos. Absolutely. I agree with you right there as well. All right, good stuff. Well, thank you so much for all those comments in there. Please continue to throw any comments you have in the chat. Well, folks, that's going to bring us to our next section, the show and tell section. But if you do have any questions, comments, thoughts about any of the updates that we've looked at here, please do feel free to continue to throw those into the chat or add those into the Q&A section down below, and we can address all of those. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on into show and tell. So this is a part of the meeting where we share cool things we've come across recently. Normally, I'll have somebody with me, so I'd either have Stephanie or Sarah or John. They were not able to be here today, but I always want to give a shout out to Stephanie with her weekly update that she does, and Sarah with her Tech You Can Do newsletter. If you have not signed up for those, please do. They share out great resources all the time. Then I would also encourage you guys to add, if you want, anything down in the community show and tell. So this is a spot where if you have come across things that you would like to share with the group, a great resource, something you've created, something you've written, an extension you've come across, a project, doesn't matter. Something that you would like to share with the group. And I already see some people doing that. So thank you very much for those who are already starting to fill in the community show and tell. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start up here. I'm not going to do everything in my list. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm just going to hit a couple of these items through here. But with my show and tell, first of all, I want to remind you that I share out a lot of resources, and you can always stay in the loop on those by joining the email discussion group that I do, or signing up for my weekly newsletter as well. And then I typically on Monday nights do an EdTech Links of the Week live stream where I share 3, 4, 5 cool links that I've come across in the last week. You can always get to the full list at bit.ly/CAA-live. That'll take you out to the document where you can see all of the past weeks. So you can go back for months and months and months and months and months, and you can see all of those. And you can also see any that are coming up. So it looks like the next one is going to be April 3rd. That'll be next Monday when we do that. But basically each week I share cool things I've come across from around the net and anything new from my blog. So I would absolutely encourage you, if you haven't had a chance to check those out, take a look at the last month. Here's the links from the last month. You can either access them from that document there, or you can open up my blog posts that I do for each one of them. So for example, on Monday of this week, I talked about Curipod. Love that. It's kind of like Nearpod or Pear Deck with AI built into it. Phenomenal. Love Curipod. I talked about Stickity. I talked about Tinkerball, and then I shared some of my own resources as well. So each Monday, I again sharing those out. Would definitely encourage you dive into these, check out these different posts here, and you'll be able to pick up some really neat ideas from those. In addition to that, I have posted a few things. We've already hit some of these, so we will not go over them again. We already talked about the updates from BETT. We talked about my ITIP Ohio summits. But there's a few other things I have rolled out here recently, and it's mostly video trainings. So for example, I did a session on Google Sheets. This is a 50-minute webinar. Yes, a 50-minute recorded video on using Google Sheets. So if Google Sheets is something that you've sometimes felt a little intimidated by, and you say, I really want to use it more, but not really sure where to begin, this takes you through all the basics and actually gets into some deeper topics. We cover things like sorting data, filtering data, formulas, charts and graphs, spark lines, conditional formatting, and even pivot tables. And all of this is covered in that 50-minute video. There are templates you can make copies of, and then you can try out everything with me. So as you watch the video, you can do all the activities that I go through in there. So that's one of the ones I posted recently. I also did one on Google Earth. Creating tours with Google Earth. So this is a session I've taught for many, many years. I now have a recorded video of it. So this is a 45-minute training video all about creating tours with Google Earth. We talk about, first of all, finding tours if you want to just see which ones people have already created. But then the most of the time is spent creating a tour yourself. So how you or your students can create a tour, drop places onto the tour, add information for each of those places, and then after creating your whole tour, how you can then view your tour and how you can share it out with others. So it's a great tool for students to be able to share their understanding rather than just writing a report or making a slideshow. They can make a Google Earth tour, and that's a really neat way to make learning more immersive and more up close and personal. And then another one of the video related things was the Google Chrome Can Do That post that I did just a little bit ago. Basically, what I did was I pulled together all of the content from back in December when I did my 12 days of Chromeness. You might recall that. Rather than having it scattered among all those different blog posts, I went ahead and pulled all of those together into one place. So this is basically a culmination of those individual videos about Google Chrome, and it's just short little videos about how to pin tabs and how to make bookmark folders and how to use the history, the reading list, making QR codes in Chrome, Google Lens, on and on, down like incognito mode, keyboard shortcuts, extensions, managing multiple accounts. So all of those videos, I think there's about an hour worth of videos or so broken up into all these different little parts there. And then the last thing I put on my blog was a new activity that I'm calling the Google Slides tier list activity. I'll go ahead and pop that open real quick. Basically, the idea behind this is a highly interactive activity for students that focuses on critical thinking, communication, defending a claim, comparing, contrasting, prioritizing. So what is this? Okay, so basically, this is a Google Slides activity where what you're going to do is a 3-part activity. Part 1 is student ranking, part 2 is partner discussion, and part 3 is class discussion. So this goes from a individual assignment at first. The first part, the student is working by themselves. The second part, they're working with a partner. And the third part, they're working as a class. So you get a lot of good interaction throughout this. And basically the way it works is this is built on something called a tier list. Now, tier lists, I did not invent them. They've been around for a long time. They came out of the video game culture. And basically a tier list is a chart that looks kind of like what you're seeing here with the letter F through the letter S. And the idea is you take items and you rank them on the tier list, with F being the lowest and S being the highest. It's actually above an A. It's like the superior level. And you rank things on a tier list. Now, that's been around for a long time. People do it with video games. They do it with movies. They do it with all sorts of stuff. Well, I said, what if we did this educationally? And so the idea is you as a teacher can make a copy of my template. I've got a template here for you. And then you can give your students this tier list with content from the class. So for example, let me just show you something so for example, it could be something like, what are the best energy sources? And so they'd have things like biomass, fossil fuels, geothermal, nuclear energy, or so forth. Or it could be like, what were the most influential battles of the Revolutionary War? And then they'd have like Bunker Hill and Princeton and Yorktown. They'd have all the battles. Or it could be something like, which characters in Romeo and Juliet had the most impact on the plot? And so they'd have all the characters to organize. Or what are the most important paintings of the 20th century? And they'd have paintings to organize. So the point is, that's where they begin. They start off by you give them a prompt, and you give them items to rank. And they just take a couple of minutes and they have to rank them. They have to drag and drop and rank those items. So they're doing critical thinking, they're doing comparing and contrasting, they're doing prioritizing. And you may want to start off with something simple like fast food restaurants, just so they get used to the idea. Then they get together with a partner. And what they do is they compare each other's. And I guarantee you, if you have two students, there's no way they're going to have exactly the same ranks. So they look at each other's rankings, and their job is to find something they disagree on and then defend their choice to their partner. So they may say, listen, I put, Chick-fil-A at the top and you put it, further down or whatever, or Dunkin' was at the top and you put Dunkin' down at a D and I've got it as an S. And then they give a defense for that. And then the other student does the same thing. The other student picks something. It could be a different one, but they pick something where there's a significant difference between the two students and they defend their rationale. And then the last thing is the students now submit their final rankings through a link to Google form. And as a class, we go through each one of the items and see the overall class rankings. And we give students one last chance to speak for or against any of these, about a minute or two per item. So the whole entire project can be done in 15 minutes, 30 minutes. So it's definitely not a full class period, but it's a really neat way to have students thinking critically, prioritizing, interacting with a partner, giving reasons for for how they ranked things, and hearing other opinions. That's so important. They're going to hear other perspectives, other opinions. And you could use this with just about any topic in class. All the templates are here. You can make copies of these and hit the ground running pretty quick with that. So that is an activity I would love to hear how people use as well. All right. Good stuff. So those are all the new things I have put on my blog recently. There's a couple of other little things that I've added in here of cool stuff I've come across. I'm going to pause there for just a second, see if there's anything that popped up there real quick. Let's see. Denny said he loves the questions being added to YouTube, and he wonders what the reports will look like and will it auto grade. So Denny, good question. So short answer, yes, it would auto grade if it's something that is a multiple choice question. It would not be able to auto grade. To my knowledge, it would not be able to auto grade the open-ended ones. What will it look like, the reports? My understanding is they're going to look just like the reports from practice sets. So if you haven't seen a practice sets report, that's what it's going to look like. So if I go over and I pull up my blog post on practice sets, if I could type practice, that would probably help a lot more. Let's try that one more time, Eric. So I probably have a picture here of, it's not going to be a very good picture, but it should give us just, there you go. So this is kind of the mock-up of what a practice sets report would look like. From what I understand, the YouTube quiz thing will be exactly the same. It's going to be that sort of a layout where you'll see all the students, you'll see whether they answered the questions right or wrong, and you can go question by question into those. So it's going to follow that same format there. Yeah. Anything else? Let's see. Oh, Peggy, thanks. Peggy says she loves the Monday shows. I'm so glad those are helpful. All right. Well, so what else do we have here? So besides the new things that I have posted, there were a couple of neat things I came across, but I noticed one of them somebody else mentioned too. So I got excited about Stickity, and so did somebody else. So in the community show and tell, great minds think alike. So I see that this got mentioned down here below. And I've also got it linked up here as well. So let's talk about Stickity. Thank you so much, Kelly, for dropping this in here. I really appreciate that. So let's talk about what is Stickity. So basically, it is a free add-on for Docs and Slides. Understand it was created by Lauren Heil. So thank you so much, Lauren, for creating this. It's a totally free add-on for Docs and Slides that lets you add pre-made digital stickers to your Docs and Slides. Now, when I say a digital sticker, I just mean an image. It's adding a picture, but they're pre-made and they're organized into great categories to help you find what you need for educational purposes. So basically, if you head on out to Stickity, you can learn more about it, and then you can get the add-ons. So here's the link to get the Docs add-on. I've already got it installed, on my personal account. This is my work account here. I don't have it installed on that one yet. And then this is the one for slides as well. So I still need to get them set up on my work account, but I do have it on my personal account already. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at what this looks like. I'll keep this real quick and simple, but just want you to be able to see it in action. So, for example, if I have a Google document and I want to add stickers to this document, if I have Stickity installed, I just click on the extensions menu and I go down to the Stickity for Docs menu option and I choose Open Stickity for Docs. And it's going to open up a panel over here on the side. And this panel is going to have all the different categories: expectations, content support, feedback, buttons, steps and levels, borders, and attention getters. Same thing if I'm in a Google slideshow. If I'm in a Google slideshow and I want to add, sticky items into this, I can go up to extensions, Stickity, and open Stickity for slides. Pretty much the same things. A couple things are different in the slides. There's a few categories that are a little bit different, but for the most part, pretty similar. The big difference is slides does support videos. So the Stickity section for timers has video timers as well as images. You can't put the video timers into the Docs because Docs doesn't support videos yet, but Slides does. So Stickity does have video timers built in there. And basically to use it, you just find one that you want to use and you just click on it and it drops it into the document because they're just images. I don't want to confuse you on that. It's basically their pictures, so like if I came here and said I wanted to add in, I think I did the instructions one when I was showing this before. Let's see, there you go. So like here's one called instructions. I could click here and say, let's center this. And in this spot, I want to put in the instruction sticker. Well, if I click on instructions, it's going to drop it right into the document. But it is just an image. This is no different than saying I want to insert an image and uploading a picture, searching for a picture. They've just done the hard work for you. They've already created these wonderful images that you can just easily drop in from this side panel. But it is still an image. And like if I wanted to give feedback on this, if I went to the, let's find the feedback one here. Looks like there's the feedback. So I've got like excellent feedback or demonstrating growth or almost there or try again. Let's say I want to put in, something that says, your best work yet. So I could come here and I could click your best work yet. It's going to drop that in, but I can resize it and I can move it and I can change the text wrapping. So I could click on that image and instead of it being in line, I could say, let's put the image in front of the text. And now I can make it bigger and I can move it around anywhere I want. And it would look more like a sticker on top of the document there. So again, and you can do this with regular images. You could go out and you could find cool images from, different websites. If you went to Giphy.com, you could find cool animated GIFs that you could add in. But again, the work's been done for you. The information, these have been created already, and they're just really handy and they're very well designed. Neat way to help students be able to navigate through a slideshow or a document better, as well as providing better feedback for them as well. So neat stuff. So I definitely give a big thumbs up to Stickity. All right, let's see. That's the end of my part of the show and tell. There's a couple other things. Feel free to check out these other items I put in there, but that's the end of my show and tell. Let's go down to the community show and tell. And it looks like, hey, great minds think alike. This is a great tool too. I'm not sure who added this in, but this is one of my favorite sites as well. Futurepedia. Yes, I absolutely agree. So Futurepedia is a website that has a directory of AI tools, artificial intelligence tools. You can just scroll down through here to check these out. Or of course, we can come up here and we can use categories. We can say, okay, I'm looking for something that helps with audio editing. I could click on that, and now we're just going to get AI tools that do something related to audio editing. Or I could take that filter back off there. Well, see if I can remove the filter. We'll clear the filters out. And then I could pick like, video editing, instead. And now I'm just getting, video editing tools. And of course, I imagine if I click on any one of these, I'm going to get more details on it. Perfect. Love it. So now I can get more information about that tool as well. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the person who runs this is the same guy who does a YouTube channel where he does a bunch of stuff on AI tools. I think it's the same person. Let me see if I can pull that up on another screen here. But I can't remember for sure right now. So I'm not going to say right away and then end up saying that incorrectly. But if I remember right, I may not be able to find this person fast enough. I'm on another screen here. I'm taking a look at my subscriptions real quick to see if I can find the here we go. This is the channel. Let me bring it up real quick. So I'm thinking it's Matt Wolf. I could be wrong, but I think he's the same guy who runs the Futurepedia site. And I could be wrong. But I think no, his is Future Tools. See, I was wrong. He does Future Tools. So there you go. See how easy that is to get confused. I was wrong. So yeah, Matt Wolf does Future Tools, which is another very similar one. But hey, try them both out and see between Futurepedia and Future Tools which one you like better. And I was wrong. This is the one I was thinking of. Future Tools is the one that I've been using as opposed to Futurepedia. But thank you for a suggestion on another one that I need to add to my list and check out there. Appreciate that. All right. Well, hey, if you guys have anything else to add to the community part, please feel free to do so. We're going to move on to our final portion of the show, which is the Q&A section. If you do have any more questions, this is a great time to be dropping those into the Q&A. And again, if you have answers to the questions, please feel free to put those in there as well. Looks like we do have quite a few questions, and thankfully some answers are popping in here as well. So I really appreciate that. All right, so let's take a look. The first question here says, I want to teach with the metaverse for kids. Does Google have any apps for a 3D virtual learning environment? So my short answer to this is going to be no. Now, somebody wants to correct me on this, please do. I would love to get your responses here. I feel like Google has moved away from more of a metaverse type tool. Back in the day, we had their Google Expeditions, and the Google Expeditions allowed you to use VR goggles to take students on a virtual tour, and you could create your own expeditions, and there were tons of expeditions already out there. And Google, they canceled that. They shut it down. They really didn't put anything in its place. Now there's still, a lot of tools like Google Earth to create Google Earth tours, but when it comes to like a metaverse type thing, like a VR tour, no, they seem to have backed away from that. So my quick answer is I don't think I would say this is an area that right now Google is doing a lot of work in as far as VR learning environments. So if somebody has anything to add to that, please do. But I apologize. No, I'm not really aware of anything that I would mention here. Now, they do VR things like if you run a search for, dinosaurs on your phone, yes, you can bring up virtual reality models of dinosaurs on your phone and you can put them into your space with augmented reality. But I don't think that's really what you're asking about here. It sounds like you're talking more about with what Facebook is doing with the metaverse and having more of an immersive thing. And so to my knowledge, no. All right, let's keep going though. Sorry about that. Next up, I'm interested to know how a teacher can apply technologies such as ChatGPT in grading and giving feedback to students. Absolutely. So we saw this with Bard earlier. We were doing a little bit of Bard work. I've spent a lot more time in ChatGPT where I've tried out a bunch of different things. And so I just copied in an example of one of the conversations I had with ChatGPT that related to giving feedback. um, and so in this case, I'll just pull this up. This is just a copy and paste of the conversation that I had with ChatGPT. I'll make it a little bit bigger here so we can see it a little bit better. So basically, I said, hey, can you create a rubric that I could use to grade an informational report for an eighth grade student? Now, obviously, you could change this to be a different grade level. You could change it to be a different type of writing. Maybe it's a story, a poem. Maybe it's an opinion piece. In this case, I said informational report. And ChatGPT said, sure. And it just goes blurf, and it just created a rubric here with, okay, we need to be able to grade them on their introduction, their organization, their content, their language, their grammar and spelling, and the conclusion on a 4-3-2-1 level. Then I said, okay, that's great. I said, can you use that rubric to grade this report? And I pasted in a George Washington report. It had some intentional errors in it. It was a very basic, simple report there. So I pasted that in. And then ChatGPT said, sure, based on that rubric, I would grade it as follows. And it gave a bunch of twos, a 3 for content, but mostly twos. And then I said, can you provide some detailed feedback on how the student could improve their report? And then it went through and said, absolutely. And so it goes step by step down through these and said, here's things you could do to improve, the language, the content, the grammar and spelling, the conclusion. And so this is a very simple example, but I hope this shows you kind of that idea that that's what we certainly could do. Now, I could do this as a teacher, but a student could do this too for self-editing. This would be fantastic. Say, before you turn in your report, have ChatGPT give you feedback. Don't have it write the report for you, but have it give you feedback. Say, okay, could you please read my report and let me know where could I improve things? I have used this with my own writing. I do this, before I, send something out in writing, I've been having ChatGPT read through it and give me feedback on my own writing. And it helps me find things that I could improve on. So whether it's you as a teacher that's doing this, or if it's a student getting this feedback themselves, this would be an example I would give to answer your question about using ChatGPT for grading and giving feedback. All right. Question about wanting to know more about practice sets. So I would probably point you to that blog post that I did on that. I'll pull that back up and I'll drop the link in there for you guys for that one. So when it comes to practice sets, I do have, like I said, a video on that, and I'll pull that up right here, a video and a blog post. And I'm just going to drop that into here so that you have access to that. This blog post has a video that gives you an overview of practice sets, but it also includes an interview with Taryn Sullivan, and she is like one of the heads of one of the main project heads on practice sets. And Taryn goes into great detail in this interview on how they develop practice sets and what they want to do with it and how it can help students. So this is a really good resource to give you an overview, but also to hear from, Taryn from the practice sets team. And then the blog post also gives some additional information there as well. What else do we have here? I'm a future teacher who'll be teaching primary school, would like to know how can educators and institutions stay informed and up to date on the latest updates and features with Google Workspace for Education. So good point right here. Using the keyword blog, that is where Google posts all of their upcoming information, all their blog posts, all their news. This is the main hub for that. Then from here, you can go into different categories here as well. So that's a good point. Thank you. Yes, whoever put that in, I'm absolutely there with you on that. I think that is a great place to go. I would say GEG Ohio, the meeting you're in right now, is definitely, that's one of the intentions of it. That is what we that's what we try to do here. We want to keep you informed and up to date on all the latest updates and features. I'd say keep coming back to the meetings. And if you can't join live, they're recorded. You can always catch them later. In addition to the Google blog, I also subscribe to a bunch of other Google blogs than just that one. And this could be a conversation for another time, but basically I'll pull this up onto the screen from the other screen here real quick and I'll show you. Give me just a second to pull it over. I use a tool called Feedly. If you're not familiar with Feedly, Feedly is a tool that you can go in and say, hey, I'm interested in these different blogs. Would you please pull them together in one place for me? And so basically what I do is, I have a category called Google where I have got about 30 different blogs related to Google tools. And I've added all of these in here to Feedly. And what it does is it goes out and it grabs the headlines from all of those different blogs. So I don't have to go visit each one of these individual blogs. I just come to Feedly and I just go down and I go, okay, let's take a look. And I click and I take a quick look and be like, okay, this is an interesting one. And let me take a look. And I just read through them really quick. And then when I come across one that I'm like, oh, that's really important, I definitely want to check that out. Then I go ahead and open up that particular blog and I read that in more detail. So at one point, I did a blog post where I listed all of those. And let me see if I can find it for you fast enough, and I'll put that in for you. Can I find it fast enough? Let's see. If we search for Feedly, that might be enough. That might be enough for me to find it for you. Yep, there it is. Now, this one is an older blog post, but the content still makes sense. It talks about using Feedly and going to these different Google blogs, and then from the Google blogs, getting, copying those links and putting them into your Feedly reader, including other things like 9 to 5 Google and Chrome Story and some of these other websites there. And then how you can just go to one place and have all of that come together. So I will put in, here's my my Feedly post, and that would be helpful for you as well, I think. All right, good stuff. Looks like we have one final question here. The last thing says, any apps that I can use in Google Workspace to support accessibility and assistive technology? Okay, thanks so much. I wanted to come back around to this question. I saw it pop up in the chat earlier, and I meant to get back around to it. So yes, let's go ahead and chat about that. So I do have a pretty thorough resource here. Let me pull it up real quick. And we'll get this pulled up for you. So I have a pretty thorough resource here, 2 of them. This one would be one that I would pull up, and then the other one I would pull up would be, let me grab the other one here. I'll give you links to both of these. Oops, if I could type, that would help. All right, so the 2 resources that I'm pulling up here, the first one is called Google Tools to Support All Learners. And the other one is about Chromebooks. It's called Chromebooks Can Do That. Now, the first one is really definitely addressing your question. So this is a resource that I have maintained for years, and I'm adding new things to it all the time. And it covers tools that are either from Google or they play nicely in the Google ecosystem that help support learners. So we're talking accessibility, accommodations, things like that. Let me copy that link, and I will drop that into here. So this is the first one that I would give you guys. When you get into this, you're going to see I've got loads of resources here that cover things like text-to-speech, tools to read text aloud, whether it's things built into the Chrome operating system or whether it's things like read and write, immersive reader, all these different tools. Then there's a whole section on speech-to-text, speaking and having your words typed up for you. There's a whole section on readability, reading comprehension, audio support, behavior, focus, organization, navigation, loads and loads and loads of tools that work in the Google ecosystem to help support all learners. Now, if you're comfortable just reading through a document, that's great. But notice at the top of the document, right below the table of contents, there's also a training video. I do this session so often. I've recorded it from time to time. So I do have a link here to a recording that I did of it. This might be maybe about a year ago, maybe not quite that far back, maybe 9 months ago or so. But this would be I believe, a 1 hour video that will take you through. I won't play it right now. I'll just pull it up real quick. Hey, there we go. It is going to do it. That one is a 55-minute version of this particular content. And I've also got a slideshow here as well, if you prefer a slideshow version of this, and a a blog post version of it as well. So whether it's this document or it's the blog post or the slideshow or the training video, a lot of great stuff there. Then I also cover a lot of that in my Chromebook session, because Chromebooks have a lot of accessibility built right into them. So let me drop that one in here for you guys as well. So this one, bit.ly/Kurtz-CB tips, like Chromebook tips. This one covers loads of things that Chromebooks can do, and one of those sections is accessibility. So if you scroll on down, there's a whole section in here about accessibility tools in Chromebooks. So I cover those in here. And again, there is a recorded video, I believe. Yes, there it is. So here is my Chromebooks can do that recorded video as well. It's a 47-minute video that goes through all of that. So those would be some resources I would definitely encourage you to explore as far as finding support for accessibility and assistive technology. And I think I did see a question, and I'm not sure if it was related to me or not. It said free ones, and I'm not sure if that was directed toward me or not. But short answer is yes. Everything in here is free. Every single tool in this list is free. Some of the tools do have paid versions, but everything in here is free. So like Read and Write. Read and Write does have a paid version, but it has a free version as well, And if I go down through the list, there's probably other good examples of that. So a tool like Moat. Moat has a free version and a paid version. But everything in here is complete, or like Pear Deck. Pear Deck has a free and a paid version. But every single thing I've got in here is absolutely functional for free. And yes, you can use these just as they are. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let me pause there for a second. I did see a little bit more activity in the chat. I want to make sure that I take a look at that. While I do that, I know we're getting close to the end of our time, so I will look through the chat one last time. But I would also encourage you, if you still have questions, if you've still got comments, if there's something that you wanted to add in here still, this is the time to do it. Looks like we got a little bit more activity in the community show and tell. So please do take this time if you've got any more questions or comments. I'm going to take a quick look over here and see. Ryan, hey Ryan, how you doing, buddy? Good friend of mine, Ryan Collins, says one nice feature is that you can take your RSS subscriptions to different services, so you can find the one that works for you. Absolutely, I like Feedly, but it doesn't have to be Feedly that you use. There's other RSS tools. Google used to have a really great one called Google Reader, but they killed that off years ago. So. Yeah. Oh, Shannon's question was about that. It was not about my question. Yeah. But that's great. Oh, hey, and Feedly, by the way, if that was your question, Shannon, Feedly is free for up to 100 feeds. So in my case, I do more than 100, so I do pay for Feedly. But if you go to Feedly, you can add 100 different sources, and that is all part of the free version. And basically, you just come down here and you click on the plus button, and you put in the website that you want to add, and you put the category you want to drop it into. But I've got more than that. Like I know I've only got like 30 or so in the Google category, but I've got a category called EdTech that has over 100 and has 130 different blogs. So these are just amazing educators from all over the world, and I pull all of their blogs together in one place. And this is how I learn from so many amazing people out there. And so I've got multiple categories in there. Oh, Ryan says that I Know Reader is free for up to 150. So that's fantastic. A little bit better then. Love that. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. Well, it does look like there was one thing that popped up in the show and tell, which was questionwell.org. I'm not familiar with that one, but I want to say thank you for putting that in. I will absolutely explore that. I'm always looking for more resources to dive into. So that's not one I'm familiar with. It says it generates multiple choice questions based on a text you submit that are easily exported to Sheets, Kahoot, or Quizzes. It's slow but good. And that's awesome. So thank you for mentioning that. I will take a look at that as well. Well, folks, I think that does get us to the end of our time. So as we start to wrap up here, just a few quick comments. First of all, thank you so much. I just really appreciate you guys taking the time to be with me, whether you've joined live or whether you are watching this recording later. I just appreciate the commitment you have to the staff that you support, to the students that ultimately benefit from these things. So thank you so much for being a part of this. I do want to remind you that if you did not get a chance to sign in yet, you can go down to the important links section on page 2 of the agenda. There is a link there to a Google form where you can sign in so that I can send you your certificate of attendance. Also want to remind you that our next meeting is in April. I've already put the information in there. So here's the agenda. It's blank at the moment. There's nothing in it yet, but there's the agenda and the YouTube link and the calendar link. If you want to add that to your calendar, our next meeting will be April 26th, about a month from now. Looking forward to learning with you guys at that one. And in the meantime, feel free to join our Google Educator Group of Ohio email group or Facebook group so that you can stay connected with us in between. Well, nevertheless, thank you, everybody, so much for being with us here today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to learning with you next time around. Take care, everybody.